Why do we spend so much money on Israel?
What a question there, Guy. Why don't you go ahead and lay it out for us? Because I'm sure a lot of Americans would love an explanation.
Over my decades of military service, as the Deputy Commander of the United States European Command, and now as a security advisor, I've often heard people make this complaint. The truth is, we don't spend enough. We should spend more, and for purely selfish reasons.
This is retired Air Force General Kuckwald, and he's here to tell us why we are giving $38 billion to Israel. Hopefully he himself did not write this, because it would be a shocking indictment of the lack of intelligence at the highest levels of military service. It's hard to believe he can keep a straight face through the entire thing. In fact, he argues, $38 billion may not be enough. We should be giving more. Let the good general explain to you how it is in your interest to send billions of your tax dollars to Israel.
Every dollar we spend on Israel is a dollar spent, in effect, in our own defense. As a value proposition, it's all in America's favor. Let me explain, but before I do, let me just say this. I can easily defend why America supports Israel on moral grounds alone. I've been there on numerous occasions. It's a good and decent country. Given the neighborhood it lives in, I find that both remarkable and admirable.
Wow, what a hot take right out of the gate. I won't even go into whether or not Israel's a good and moral country, USS Liberty, Lavon affair, but is this honestly even a standard that we should be considering? Should we give $38 billion to every country we decide is moral? How many other countries in the world qualify for this special tax on American workers? Is Israel the only one who fits the criteria as moral, therefore singling it out for lots of US tax dollars? This is your first point, Prager? Are you people even trying?
But I will make this argument solely on the basis of America's security. Our partnership with Israel is unique. Unlike most of our current treaty alliances, say with South Korea, our ties with Jerusalem are not premised on American troops serving as tripwires on Israel's front lines. This is because Israel takes care of itself.
Israel takes care of itself, so send them $38 billion, guys. It's such a good deal. They really took care of themselves in the Iraq war they convinced us to fight.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
America, for good reason, remains wary of any further military engagement in the Middle East. And this only strengthens the case for giving Israel the tools it needs to defend its borders. Here are 3 things we can do. Again, all in our own self-interest. First, the United States should front-load its financial commitment to Israel. We have agreed to provide Israel $38 billion in defense assistance over 10 years. That's a big number, but it's also a great deal for America. In addition to giving Israel the financial wherewithal to purchase the weapons it needs, it also benefits the American economy. Under the agreement, Israel must spend these funds on U.S. products, and it's happy to do so.
Oh, I'll bet they're happy to do so. Let me stop you right there, partially because I was laughing so hard when you said, it's a big number, but it's also a great deal. Priceless. Okay, so let's talk about this idea that sending money to them stimulates our economy because they spend it buying our military technology. Is this the neocon conceptualization of an Obama stimulus? We just launder the money through Israel for some reason? Look at this graphic. We give them money, they spend it on our military-industrial complex, and they receive the products of our labor paid for with our money. How about this? We give them nothing, use the $38 billion to stimulate our military-industrial complex, and then sell the equipment to Israel and keep the profits. Sounds like a better deal if you want to put America first. Here's a great idea to stimulate GM, since they're struggling. Give me 60 grand. I'll turn around and stimulate your business by spending it on products, and you send me a Corvette. You'll be out of debt in no time. What a great deal.
Without adding a cent to the total, the United States should front-load this assistance to reflect the changing strategic situation in the Middle East, specifically the rising danger presented by Iran and its proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas. An accelerated timetable would allow Israel to acquire critical capabilities like more F-35 attack squadrons, more refueling tankers, and more precision munitions. It will need this hardware to defend itself in American interest against those persistent and growing threats.
So what we need to do is give them most of the money now because of Hezbollah and Hamas. which are dedicated to the destruction of Israel, but have committed no terrorism against America. A persistent threat to us? And as a side note, are you insinuating that Israel needs that money now because they're losing to Hezbollah and Hamas?
Second, the United States should enhance our alliance with Israel. It may surprise you to know that the United States does not have a defense treaty with this essential ally. Lots of agreements, but no treaty. We should. Why is this important? Because it will send a loud strategic signal to Israel's enemies that if you mess with Israel, you mess with us. Israel is not going to ask us for troops, but we should be giving them anything else they need: intelligence, weapons technology, and other vital information. And we know this is a two-way street. Israel gives a lot in return, which leads me to the third point.
Whoa, easy there, Wald. Aren't we forgetting the part where you explain all the wonderful things we get from this alliance? Just glazing right over that, huh? They give us a lot in return, such as A, B, and C. Or you can just move on since you can't think of anything we get in return for our money. And why don't we have an alliance? Might it have something to do with allies, having to consult each other before attacking other countries and waging war, as well as possibly allowing us to station troops or use Israel as an airbase in the Middle East if we needed it? Anyway, moving on.
Israel should build on their already close collaboration in research and development. Israel is one of the most high-tech economies in the world. American investors understand this. More venture capital is spent per capita in Israel than in any other country. 9 out of the 10 largest companies have R&D facilities there. This is in a country of just 8 million people. When we sell them military gear, they adapt it to their own special needs. The American military, in turn, benefits from these innovations, especially in the area of desert warfare. Indeed, President Obama's Defense Secretary, Ashton Carter, made this point. There's no question that American lives have been saved by Israeli technology. There are many cutting-edge projects we can work on together, such as directed energy weapons. This new form of cannon emits highly focused energy to neutralize targets. Such weapons will be needed to counter the spread of cheap, deadly, and plentiful mortars and drones from Iran and other bad actors.
A lot of venture capital is spent, and there are R&D facilities there. Okay. Which explains why we need to give them more money on top of independent investments, because of all the supposed technological advancement Israel gives to us, the only tangible contribution would be the Iron Dome missile defense system, which the U.S. doesn't even use, and which the U.S. paid $720 million taxpayer dollars to develop. We need them to desert test our equipment? Are you kidding me? And then quoting Ash Carter as a source? Wow, Prager. Let's ask this. Assuming Ash Carter has reason to believe lives were saved by Israeli technology, would those lives have needed saving if we weren't in Iraq in the first place?
All this explains why I find it so infuriating to see Americans, especially young Americans, support anti-Israel groups like BDS, Boycott, Divest, Sanction, that want to weaken and destroy Israel. Putting aside the perverse logic of these groups that we should punish a free and open democracy, it's self-destructive. Israel is on the front line of terror. They, not us, are within missile range of Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, and Hamas. To the extent these enemies of freedom are held in check, they are held in check by Israel. And they ask from us not one U.S. soldier, only for military aid, which they spend on American defense products to help defend American interests. We should give them that aid without reservation. Sure, it costs us treasure, but it saves us blood, our blood. It's also the right thing to do. I'm General Chuck Wald, United States Air Force, for Prager University.
Perverse logic, yeah, that's a good one. Young Americans aren't as stupid as you are, and they're waking up to this garbage rapidly. Just read the comments section in your video. How is not giving a country billions of dollars punishing them? The lack of logic in this video makes me sick. It costs us treasure, but it saves us blood. Nauseating and insulting to the 4,500 plus soldiers who died in Iraq since our invasion, based on prompting from people such as Benjamin Netanyahu and intelligence from Mossad that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction, which turned out to be a lie. If we wanted to do something about terrorism, we'd be going after the #1 sponsor of it, Saudi Arabia, instead of allying with them just as Israel has. It's very telling that this is the best they could come up with to make the case, and I haven't even talked about the USS Liberty or the Levant affair. Just sad. No one buys this trash anymore, Prager. You should be ashamed of yourself for making this video.